Hi, and welcome back to part 2 of our Delhi edition Founder Moments episode. This is Saloni, and we have with us today Chirag Taneja, the co founder of GoQuick, Anindya Datta, the co founder of Stanza Living, Amit Lakhotia, founder of Park Plus, and Ashish Mohapatra, the co founder of Business, in conversation with Avnish Bajaj, founder and managing director at Matrix Partners India. In today's episode, we take stock of the startup environment and the growing and burgeoning founder ecosystem in Delhi NCR. Tune in to find out more.
In the context of this kind of an environment, you just said we just talked about taking money. You said see ball, hit ball, take money. What about M&A? I think it comes up in almost every discussion. करना चाहिए नहीं करना चाहिए. I know Andy, you are Goldman Sachs. मैं Goldman Sachs में M&A बेचता था, but मेरे को पता था 90% of the time चलता नहीं. But I think you have had a very contra experience and view. So what are the thoughts?
We've done it differently. तो देखिए मुझे लगता है कि अगर आप रेवेन्यू के लिए M&A ले रहे हैं तो वैसे ही बर्बाद होना है. At the end of the day, if you are trying to prove your business model by actually acquiring somebody, you won't get anywhere. So there has to be a different strategic reason for why you're doing M&A, and there could be very many reasons, right? And the second is most of the M&A actually fail, and there's a big Goldman Sachs study which McKinsey has doubled up saying that most of the M&As fail because of post-merger integration. So if you have to worry about integration, again it will fail. So at the end of the day, if your M&A operating model is such that it takes care of integration by itself, then you probably won't fail. Like for example, we buy our suppliers. If you buy your suppliers, they're anyway supplying to you. You're probably 30% of his business. You're already integrated to him. Probably he runs on your own tech system at the end of the day.
So just abstracting that, because I think it's a very, very good point. You are saying by that definition, backward integration and forward integration is likely to succeed.
In my opinion, yes. But if you're buying your competitor, you're likely buying somebody because you want to buy his revenue, but you have saddles of problem. He's probably a different culture. He's probably built it in a very different way and stuff like that. So if you go forward or backward, and I personally think it is easier if you take it backward. Then it is forward. Then
सबको बताओ अपने minds और सब, is that public information?
which one?
आप जो कहाँ तक
माइंड में अगले राउंड के बाद लेंगे.
but our minds भी बनाओगे.
No, my view is that see, at the end of the day, the real value lies in 4 places. One is the sea, one is the field, one is the mountain, and the fourth is a mind. So unless you actually own a bit of these 4, I actually said it in jest to Avnish and he really liked it.
मतलब ये strategy articulated.
He's sounding like a He's sounding like somebody.
He's sounding like the sheikhs of Dubai, right?
Yes, we have them as our investors.
No, but I couldn't agree more with what Ashish said. I think buying revenue is just the wrong strategy for M&A, and particularly if you're thinking that you're getting someone cheap, then something is wrong.
You get monkeys for peanuts.
Exactly. So I think completely agree on forward and backward integration. Maybe there are adjacencies which you want to explore, and that is something which you want to look at. Buying distribution, absolutely yes, but I don't think we should be buying another source of revenue for the same business.
You know, I think one of the most insightful things that, frankly, I have learned in this conversation was the point we made also about buying competition. That culture has been trained to hate you.
Yeah.
It's probably set up to fail, right? Whereas as a customer or a supplier, you have a symbiotic relationship, so it is more likely to succeed. I never thought of it like that.
When I was in McKinsey, they used to say that the only people who make money in M&A is actually, other than the investment banker, is the consultant who heads post-merger integration. Everybody exclusive.
Interesting. Okay, let's come to before we come to Delhi versus Bangalore, which is a topic we want to cover since we are in Delhi. You guys are also founders and angel investors, and I'm encouraging everybody in the Delhi ecosystem to please reach out proactively. Give some advice to budding founders. Should they take money only from experienced angel investors, because you guys are experienced founders or angel investors? Should they get in a VC early? Should they not get in a VC early? Should they take 1 VC, 2 VC?
1 VC matrix.
Right answer. Now real answer.
I can say this, that when we look back at our fundraising strategy, the one mistake which we made, and I say this to all founders which I meet these days, is not having angels. And we thought we were keeping the capital clean. And I think that was a big, big mistake. Having angels is an absolute must in my head, because I think they are tremendous brand ambassadors, one. Two, you really, it's a great sounding board. I think people mentioned that earlier to kind of pick.
But Andy, आपके time पे थे नहीं थे. So I'm in violent agreement with it. I think if the people would be doing themselves a disservice by not taking money where they can get that advice.
Yeah.
And the ecosystem has just deepened like crazy in the last 5 years.
I mean, I think I remember, and by the way, Tarun and Gaurav both had told us that you should bring in, because we had a couple of angels who were looking at us.
Yeah.
And we said no. I think it was a big mistake, and I would recommend every founder definitely.
We offer him to take our money at angel price. We are happy to be Stanza angels.
Good.
I offered that to Amit, which he gleefully accepted.
You took two VCs. Fortunately, he took one VC. He decided somewhere in the middle. He took two. I mean, seriously, for advice to the ecosystem, what are the thoughts?
No, I think one part is very clear that you should
have
check,
that.
and angel, I think you should pick up more from whether they can give you some time or not. Like for example, for a lot of startups, I tell clearly I can't give you time. I can give you money if you want, but I can't give you time. But I think that startup should say no to me very clearly. अगर time नहीं दे सकते तो पैसा मत. The second part is around getting more VCs in. I think it depends on the size of round you are looking to raise. So if you are looking to raise say anywhere more than 6-7 million type, it obviously makes sense to get two VCs in. And
बहुत deep pocketed VCs हैं तो अकेले निकलेंगे.
but it is also about the stage of your company, validation, bouncing of ideas, because this is the stage where you are most vulnerable. You don't know.
Well said.
And that is what you want to bounce off, whether that will work, that will not work. And VCs, like for example, this is the only company. For VCs, like they are seeing 20 different bets parallelly, not only in India but similar structure other places. Now, what is working, what is not working, what worked somewhere, what didn't work somewhere. Like for example, you are talking about M&A. Now, I haven't seen a single M&A in my life, but you would have seen like say 50 M&As. Now it becomes easy for me because the deals will keep coming to me. Small startups saying Park Plus है, acquire कर लो आप. But मेरी फटती, मुझे समझ ही नहीं आता क्यों करूँ. So it becomes easy for me when I can brainstorm with more people around. कैसे देखना चाहिए, कैसे करना चाहिए, and so on and so forth. So, and I think what also happens is most of the VCs also go through their journey. So, like for example, you might be fairly busy in some of your deals at certain point of time, and at that point of time, if I have to take a call, with whom do I brainstorm?
Fair enough.
One VC plus a few angels.
Just to add to Amit's point, so we have 25-30 angels and we've taken angels at all rounds. So Amit, by the way, told me also कि मैं time नहीं दे पाऊँगा. I told him time तो देना ही पड़ेगा. And I have been fortunate, by the way, a lot of people told me कि yeah, we won't be able to contribute, etc., etc. But I can say it, thumbing on the table saying people have helped me and people have given me time also.
Yeah.
So I think it also depends on the individual, what kind of ask you have.
Yeah.
If it is in his domain, I'm sure he did.
Yeah.
So it also depends on that.
Well, you have to suck it up in terms of the time.
Yeah, I have
So
reached to
I
his
think
office a couple of times and he was not there.
Yeah.
So it has happened, but it happens.
Ashish, you always have the contra view. So why only one VC? Huh?
One VC
Matrix plus angels.
Matrix plus angels. A few angels who know you.
I agree. So let's talk about Delhi. So I was sharing this statistic with you guys offline. We were looking at our geographic mix of investments since 15 years, and I found it very surprising.
You mean Matrix or VC ecosystem as a whole?
It's very similar. It's very similar. Some VCs have some skew, but I would say it's largely similar. Delhi NCR has stayed between 25 to 35%. Somewhere around 11, 12 went down a little bit, but I would say call it 30% steady. Bangalore, now again, we were maybe a little bit less tech earlier, but Bangalore has gone from like early 20s to 40 to 45 and now steady. Mumbai has gone down from 25-30 to now steady at about 15-20 because of fintech, media. But net, Delhi has actually been the most steady VC ecosystem in the country, but I think underappreciated or under-recognized. So how do we change it?
Markets recognize it.
Why do you say it's
Whether it is Zomato, whether it is now Paytm, MobiKwik, Ixigo, Make My Trip, Naukri. Is there something
So,
India in Bangalore like this?
Delhi has a massive natural advantage over Bangalore when it comes to creating any kind of, I would say, institutions.
Why everybody keeps asking? Won't you ask when maybe we didn't ask, but people would be asking when are you opening a Bangalore office when you start?
एक सब मैं बताता हूँ आपको आंसर ज्योग्राफी और हिस्ट्री में. So Delhi, if you look at it, the nearest metro to Delhi is probably Bombay or Calcutta, which is 1500 kilometers away. The closest cities to Delhi are Jaipur, Chandigarh, Lucknow, Ludhiana. 250 kilometers away, with the exception of Lucknow, which is 550, 60, 600 kilometers. But all four of cities are essentially tier 2. Take Bangalore, for example. Bangalore to Chennai, under 500. Bangalore to Hyderabad, under 500. Bangalore to Mumbai, under 1000. So Bangalore actually is surrounded by at least 3 metros, whereas Delhi, the nearest metro is 1500 kilometers away. So Delhi fundamentally drains a lot more of trade and consumption. So hence you will see a lot more transaction-led businesses coming up in Delhi. You will see a lot more commerce-led businesses coming up in Delhi. ये Delhi history क्या है इसमें? Delhi का सबसे पास वाला metro is actually in Pakistan. आप देखिए लाहौर is under 500 kilometers. आप फैसलाबाद देखिए, फैसलाबाद is under 500 kilometers. You see Multan under 500 kilometers. So actually the cities that were nearer to Delhi because of geography are on the other side of the border, which we don't trade with. तो इंडिया में क्या होता है कि दिल्ली के आसपास सारे टियर 2 लोकेशंस हैं. और
aggression culture that
वो तो है ही सर, वो तो है ही, वो तो है ही. But the fact that whole of UP actually dates to Delhi.
So SaaS और product global product
हो गया,
नहीं बनने वाले हैं यहाँ पे. ये तो आप बना रहे डेटा साइंस और
वो तो रूल करेंगे दिल्ली से. We are also commerce-led business. We are also commerce-led business.
But even if you look at the whole culture, 10 years before, like the companies used to distribute the stuff in Delhi, and from here it would go to other places.
Absolutely.
Like for example, my father has a small shop in Bhagirath Place, which used to be like before GST. With GST, things stabilized. But even if you have to send something to Kanpur, the companies will stock in Delhi. From Delhi, the Kanpur trader will come, and whether Kanpur, whether Lucknow, whether Jaipur, Delhi is the hub. Obviously, in last 4-5 years with GST coming in and with more smoother transportation, logistics and everything.
And no other metro in India actually has that. Even Mumbai still has Pune, Ahmedabad and Indore aside them.
So that's a very interesting point. But I know there used to be a question whether you can scale large tech teams in Delhi. Has that question been answered? Is it no longer a worry?
Data guys should go
I would
first.
say it's an advantage here because there are not many tech companies here. So whatever talent.
Sir, ऐसा मत बोलो.
अभी बोला ना Stanza है tech company.
At least for our size, we have not faced a challenge yet. So we've been able to attract good talent, and possibly I think we've been remote. So location doesn't matter.
Yeah.
तो अपने को तो
Actually, Bangalore से ज़्यादा challenge आएगा local. Like for example, some people who have gone to now say Kota, Jodhpur, Barmer, पहुंच गए their hometown office. Now they are having a daily salary and they are sitting at Barmer, which is like at 1/4 of the daily cost. Now and अब उनको वापस आप कैसे लाओ? Because now they have access to like a job in Bangalore.
Yeah.
So I don't think so. Bangalore is a competition. The competition would be more around that guy sitting there can work anywhere.
Yeah.
That is.
But actually, on our note earlier about remote working, and I know Kunal Shah had put this tweet out, I'm in violent agreement. I think that guy should not be sitting in Barmer. He's doing himself a disservice. It may look good for the next 12 months, but long term, बाद में करना है, if you're in your 40s and you're doing that, but this is the time to learn.
No, I understand, but it is.
No, I know what you're saying.
People are switching jobs every 6-9
Yeah,
months.
yeah.
Like with an assumption, okay, a 20 lakh guy becomes like a 60 lakh guy in 18 months.
Yeah.
Maybe less than that.
Yeah.
But like when the bust happens, would he be able to justify that? That's the question. Finally, there is a skill set, and Indian market can pay only salaries for Indian market.
Yeah.
Unless you are building a global business, how would you keep affording those kind of people? You will not.
Just one thing to add to the Delhi versus Bangalore question, and Ashish made a point around from a wholesale commerce lens. From a consumer business lens, yeah, this is really slightly contrarian view. So 70% of our business happens in Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, and we are based in Delhi.
Wow.
Which by the way means all my competition is based in Bangalore. So we are an exception to be based in Delhi at this point of time. I feel because we are not based in Bangalore, we are much sharper in terms of how we think about GTM than anybody today who's based in Bangalore. For them, Bangalore में इतना बड़ा market है कि इधर है कि तो यहीं पे तो है सब कुछ, you know. So there's no GTM thinking at all. I think when you're sitting in Delhi and trying to plan a strategy for a launch in Cochin or Chennai or whatever, you just think a lot more because suddenly you're like sitting in Delhi and trying to figure out a solution for Cochin. You just are sharper in your thinking around that, and I just think that puts us an advantage versus somebody who's sitting in Bangalore has got to a particular skill and suddenly उनको दिल्ली जाना है. He's never thought about GTM at all because वो Bangalore में इतने लोगों को करा था to begin with, and suddenly that business becomes very Bangalore heavy.
Yeah.
And it could also become like an easy GTM to a tougher GTM market transition.
Yeah.
Like if you look at a lot of these towns, Go, like all these companies have found it hard to come to Delhi.
Yeah.
Like Bangalore, obviously there is scale, they will claim, like some of the people will claim. Even companies like Denso, etc. Like significant part of their business come from southern India.
Yeah.
And northern India is slightly different. So if you crack northern India, I think you can go to southern India. I don't think so because that's relatively more easy to adopt.
Historically, North Indians have ruled South Indians,
Yeah,
but not the vice
I was
versa.
just going to say अभी आशीष बोलेगा देखो जब emperors भी आते थे ऊपर से आते थे नीचे
नीचे से ऊपर कभी-
नीचे से ऊपर कभी नहीं जाते थे but वहाँ पे ocean भी है but I think it's interesting. I think from my vantage point there used to be a question that used to get asked that I believe will not get asked again, which used to be to the Delhi founders, आप tech कैसे बनाओगे, Bangalore कैसे बनाओगे, and some of it is COVID because I think everybody's become comfortable. I used to, when entrepreneurs used to ask me my office खोलो, I used to say no. एक दूसरी city में मत खोलो, culture नहीं आता. Now it's like you don't even think about that. But it's also, I can see the confidence, the security has built कि हम यहाँ बनाएंगे, right? And it's almost like somebody from Delhi doesn't want to go to Bangalore and Bangalore doesn't want to come to Delhi, and it's great. It's great for the country if you ask
Having
me.
said that, Amish, I would say that tech talent, Bangalore still is head and shoulders.
No, but it is for sure. But the question then is tech ultimately, whatever be our opinions, is tech the high tech going to turn out to be the way Chirag is saying, which is you'll be remote, people will be anywhere. I know who was telling me the other day that they have one engine, maybe it was you, who was saying that they have one person in Estonia and one person in Russia.
Has to
Doing
be.
We're just exploring that option. We're not
but कोई मेरे को बता रहा था.
Eastern Europe, yeah.
So who knows? Okay, on to some fun stuff. And I don't know how many real answers we'll get, but we'll try. So rapid fire round as usual. So which is the unicorn most likely to go bust?
Just too controversial a question.
Anybody's going to hazard a guess.
Anybody who's burning a lot and actually became a unicorn too early. If these two things are true, I would say.
And I think we are all optimistic people, so I agree with you. Let's not name it people, but I think that's the right way to say it. If you became a unicorn by raising a lot of capital,
And you're still burning a lot.
right, then that's probably the answer. Okay, this is easy. Next, Decathlon.
Sitting in front of us.
No way. There may be others.
I think my answer to that would be anybody who Tiger likes.
Maybe I something. I think you can't become a decacorn on the back of just capital. I think you have to have a real business. My view is it's going to be much more long term. I also believe this one hopefully the closest. But and the other good thing in that, Andy, is beyond a point now the feet are going to be held to the fire of the public markets.
Yeah.
And that is the best thing that could have happened.
Yeah.
Congrats to Dipinder, what he's created. Valuations may go up and down, but beyond a point, only real businesses will be there. Right? So Decathlon बना के अगर आप public नहीं जा रहे तो क्या फायदा?
Yeah.
So, but Ashish, we are rooting for you.
Thank you.
India digital market cap in 2030.
India is a $2 trillion economy now.
कौन सी अपनी?
country.
2x of what it is today.
हाँ?
25% year on year.
No, so we are at $2.5 trillion.
1.2, 1.3 होगा अभी.
2.5.
India
Yes, one.
India is 2.4
2.5
trillion.
trillion.
Yeah.
So I think probably India will become like a 6 to 7, and typically I think 1.5, 2 trillion should be distributed.
Yeah, 30%.
I'll say 10x in 10 years, 25% here, or 26%.
अभी कितनी है 16 है so similar we are converging. हमने भी कुछ बहुत complicated analysis किया था आंसर सेम आया था जो आप लोगों ने जल्दी से दे दिया 1 to 1.5 trillion. Just for people's context, China is highly concentrated in 2 companies, right? And I think India will be more long term. But with that, it was about 2.5, 3 trillion, and therefore, if you do the GDP multiplier, we should be 1 to 2 trillion. I actually believe, Ashish, what you were saying earlier, I think we'll be surprised on the upside.
Yeah.
I think ये जो हुआ है ना ये COVID, import substitution, some policy moves by the government on manufacturing,
Yeah.
I think this will all come together, and maybe the distinction between a digital business and a non-digital business, which I was asking you how you are a tech business, I think nobody will ask that question. It will be
I was
everywhere.
reading in some journal that the fastest 10-year growth that a country has ever had was 10x in 10 years, which is almost triple of your current growth rate, and 4 countries have gone through it. Okay.
10x at the GDP level.
10x at you take a it's index or whatever, right? And it was typically around manufacturing. So I think if we can get there, if we can be the 5th country, it will be a big deal.
You said 2.5 trillion to 25 trillion.
नहीं वो तो GDP हो गया ना. Our manufacturing, but that journal was specifically about manufacturing.
So which for each? Sorry.
No, I'm just saying, like for a country of our size, I think there are only 2 job creation themes. One is manufacturing and second is tourism.
Services.
Tourism, not even services, tourism.
No, ITS, BPO,
Yeah, इसमें means you require certain level of skill set. So they will absorb only till a certain skill set. बाकी का skill set absorb ही नहीं होगा.
But tourism is going down and then will go back up, right?
So tourism is one of those things which drives a lot of things. Like for example, if you go and spend time in Jaipur, I'm just giving an example, 2 days. You will be staying in a hotel, you will be eating in a restaurant, you will be going to a shop.
Multiplier.
So like you will, like a guy doesn't require any education, but he can make say 500,000 rupees per day. And if he is employed say 30 days a month, because tourists are continuously coming, he's generating on 30,000-40,000 rupees a month, which is very good.
Yeah.
So tourism is one thing which is going to help across the whole strata. You don't need very, very skilled people for that. Obviously, some people will be skilled, like, but if a hotel functions, if a restaurant functions, if a shop functions, like the people who are working there, people who are delivering services to these guys, everything will go up. So, and manufacturing obviously is actually more than manufacturing, tourism is something which is going to deliver jobs. Because even in manufacturing, we have started talking about robots and everything. I went to a factory called Asia One in China, which is the JD's warehouse. That was like 2016 or 17, and there used to be like 70,000 guys picking, sorting. That used to deliver like 1 million orders a day. That time, India whole in internet was delivering 1 million. That was only one warehouse for one company, and they said these 70,000 people will get replaced will become 350 people in next 3 years because of robots. So if manufacturing jobs are again taken by robot, how do you create jobs?
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
So I think that part is going to be a bit tricky.
Okay, rapid fire. The sector that you are most excited by, and the sector that you think is the most overhyped. If you look out 5 years, something that will create a lot of value, and something that you think is overhyped and may destroy value.
Overhyped is hectic.
But isn't it as COVID as they come? Like, don't you need
Will COVID
education?
go away? I think my sense is that education is the most contact sport and it will come back to its neutral equilibrium. Right now it's in an unstable equilibrium, so it's going to come back.
Interesting.
I think on overhead I completely agree. And I spent a lot of time with university admins, chancellors, etc. It's they are struggling, and there is no focus on learning outcomes. I think once people realize that, I think a lot of what you're seeing will go away.
It is the same. Like if I look at my kid, my daughter is in 3rd standard. I don't think she has learned anything in the last 18 months. Like 2 hours of sitting in front of laptop, and half the time she will open YouTube and Harry Potter at the same time.
That speaks volume of what you taught us.
No, but actually, even before the nationalization of EdTech happened in China, companies were valued highly, but they were struggling with the churn. LTV to CAC was a big challenge. What about promising, exciting sectors?
For me, I think that's core tech. So companies like Postman. So they only.
वो दिल्ली से आएंगी?
Yeah. As long as we'll be able to. People will be able to work for these companies headquartered in Delhi, so we will work globally. Because these companies will be global. So API infrastructure companies like Twilio, all of these are underappreciated companies. I think when they achieve a certain scale, then only people realize that what kind of backbone infrastructure they built out, which you can't live without. That's one sector I think probably underappreciated in our country.
I think personal mobility is in, shared mobility is out, and even the guys who have built big shared mobility companies in India have started looking at building personal mobility stuff. Why are you looking at me?
And I would say Kotak with an IoT layer to it is something that I don't think people have spent. I think India has not done anything on that front. People who are willing to spend time on building the data sciences layer on an IoT ecosystem, which will truly kind of become omnipresent. I think that's one.
And my 2 cents there is in health. I would also say in health. I think there is so much that can be done. Haven't figured out exactly what will happen, but Ashish.
Sector that we are in.
We do need to explore career.
Underappreciated, yeah. I think intermediary economies in India have largely been fragmented. Whereas if you look at developed countries, you always have consolidation because of a big macroeconomic trend. We are seeing that in India. So we are at the beginning of it.
Yeah. Super guys, really appreciate all the time and hopefully.
Last question.
Well, the last question is which is the best VC outside of Matrix, but that's not a real question. But parting thoughts and advice to somebody starting out.
Be yourself. Don't change. You will always land in a sweet spot.
Yeah, other way to say it is the market tailwind. I mean, this is the next decade is probably the best they're ever going to have it, right? So don't even think twice and jump in. Even if you won't fail, you will it.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's a great time to be an entrepreneur. It's a great time to believe in what you're building. I think we tend to get straitjacketed into A, B, C types by people outside. But as an entrepreneur, if you know what you're building, just focus and go for it. I think that matters.
So I think not even being an entrepreneur, even if you work directly for an entrepreneur, I think it's a great time. Because earlier, like for example, you have to have a certain pedigree, age, experience to work directly with an entrepreneur. Today, if you are smart enough, there are enough entrepreneurs who would just straight away like to work with you. Like for example, there are positions getting created like chief of staff, etc., where people with 2, 3, 4 years of experience are working directly, and that's an amazing way to learn. And another thing is like you should maximize your probability of success. Don't directly jump in. You will not even realize that where your 3, 4, 5 years got sucked in. Time is valuable, and picking right segment is even more important.
So let me just add something to that. We have this concept internally of a experienced founder profile, and all of you in various ways is fitted. But Amit would have fitted it. All of you fitted, like I said. And the difference, when I came back and started Baazi was just copy paste model, whatever, right? And what we observe is this point of being very deliberate, thinking through both the market, the profit pool in the market, the GTM. Somewhere in the discussion, the GTM had come out, and by the way, a lot of thought around the org and the org building. And you watch this set of founders versus the Go Fearless, Change the World, both of which have a role. Frankly, without one, the other cannot survive. But what you find with this is that then when it starts hitting, it starts compounding very fast because things have been kind of it's a little bit opposite of run fast and break things. right? It is actually, maybe I don't know how to put it, but go a little bit more deliberately and slow, and you don't need to break things, and yet, and I think that's your point that you will. And I'll just add to that and then turn it over to you, Ashish, for closing thoughts. This is the time. I think if in the next decade, if you are in digital India or if you want to enter digital India and if you're not doing it now, you're going to miss out. Right? Now, maybe you get experience for 1, 2, 3 years, but this is the time.
No, I'll put it in somewhere. I read it somewhere. It just struck with me. It said, "Taste the new age India. First as a consumer, second as a lender, third as an investor, fourth as an employee, and if you're lucky, fifth as an entrepreneur." So yeah, if you can taste it at these levels, you will be married.
Great note to end it on. Thank you guys. Really appreciate it. And onwards.
Thanks for tuning in. For more Matrix Moments episodes, you can head to www.matrixpartners.in/blog. You can also follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube for more updates.